Namaste and good evening. We'll start with the prayers. Om Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Now we'll chant Mahamrityunjay mantra 3 times to pray for those who are in suffering. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Mrityormukshiyamamrutat. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Mrityormukshiyamamrutat. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Mrityormukshiyamamrutat. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Welcome everyone. Today is class 26. We are still continuing Lanka Kanda, which is the story of war happening in Lanka between Lord Rama and Ravana. So today we will see that Lakshmana kills Meghanada, battle of Rama and Ravana. Rama kills Ravana and Mother Sita finally unites with Lord Rama. Maybe all is not covered, we'll see. So in the last class, we saw that how Hanumanji brought the special herb from Himalayan mountains, and that special herb was administered to Lakshmana and he was revived. He became conscious again. And then when Ravana did not know what to do, when he heard that, he was extremely surprised as well as very sad to hear this. So now Ravana went to his brother Kumbhakarna as a last resort. And Kumbhakarna would always sleep. For 6 months he will sleep and one day he will wake up. But that time he was sleeping, he was forcibly woken up, and Ravana told him to help him in the war. Kumbhakarna, after some reluctance, he decided to go and fight on the side of Ravana. And he did a lot of damage single-handedly to the monkey army. But finally, Lord Rama kills him. And when his head is separated from his trunk, a light goes from his body into Lord Rama. Then Meghanada, finally when Ravana was crying, Meghanada said, okay, I still have something more and I'll go and I'll show you my power. So he goes, first he terrifies the whole monkey army. He was fighting invisible. Nobody could see him. He had some special and magical weapons. But finally, Jamban was able to overpower him and he threw him into Lanka. When Meghanada saw that he was defeated in this manner, and he saw his father Ravana standing by him when he regained consciousness. He felt very ashamed. He decided he will only go to the battlefield now after performing a special fire ceremony. If he is able to complete that fire ceremony, he becomes invincible, at least for that particular day. And then that's what he starts doing. When Vibhishana got the news, because he had his spies in Lanka, so he was getting all the news. He got the news that Meghanada is trying to perform this fire ceremony. There was a temple of one form of Divine Mother, which Meghanada was using to perform his fire ceremony. So Vibhishana, when he heard that, he requested Lord Rama that this should be disrupted. Meghanada should not be allowed to complete this fire ceremony, otherwise it will become a huge trouble for us. As it is, he has been a big problem. So Lord Rama calls Lakshmana again and he says, Lakshmana, this fellow has created a lot of troubles for us as well as for the gods. And I'm feeling not so good about it. Now I'll tell you that you go and somehow kill him. Use your strength, use your intellect, use whatever technique, but make sure that this fellow is no more. And Lakshmana bowed down to Lord Rama and said, by your grace, I'll fulfill this command of yours. He will not survive. He will not see tomorrow's sun. And there were also other monkey warriors. They also accompanied Lakshmana along with Vibhishana. So they all reached that place where Meghanada was performing this fire ceremony. And first they try to disturb Meghanada, doesn't pay much attention. But when they really create a lot of troubles for him, then he gets really disturbed and he gets very angry and he gets up. In the meantime, monkeys destroy all the fire ceremony equipments and material and everything. So when Meghanada realizes that, okay, there is no way now to perform this fire ceremony, to complete the ceremony, he started to go for the fight as he was in the same instant. And first he showered a huge volley of arrows onto the monkeys. And first they got really terrified even at this stage. But then Lakshmana took the command and he started cutting all his arrows. Then Meghanada, when he realized that he cannot fight like this with Lakshmana, he again deployed some of his magical tricks. He went into the sky and became invisible and tried to fight from there. Then Lakshmana, after some time, he realized that I have played enough with this fellow. Now is the time. So he took a very special arrow, remember Lord Rama, and let that arrow loose. So even though Meghanada was quite far and invisible in the sky, but that arrow had some special power, and as well as Lakshmana's remembering Lord Rama, it hit Meghanada right in the heart and he fell down and he died there. While dying, he is shouting, where is Lakshmana, where is Rama? And like that he gave up his body. When they heard that, Angada and Hanuman, that he has taken the name of Lord Rama, they were saying, oh, how wonderful, how blessed you are, how blessed is your mother. When Meghanada died, there is a story, not in Manas, but there is a story that Meghanada could only be killed by Lakshmana. There was no other warrior, not even Lord Rama, who could kill Meghanada. Meghanada had a very special boon. His boon was that for 12 years, one who has not slept, not taken the regular food, like not taken the grains, and not have any kind of association with a woman, only that person can kill him. Lakshmana had fulfilled all these conditions. He had not slept in order to serve Lord Rama. He had requested sleep, goddess sleep, that to spare him, and that arrangement was made at the start of the when he started for the forest. Then Lakshmana did not have any association with any woman whatsoever, and he did not eat grains because in the forest all the food was fruits and roots. So because of that, Lakshmana was uniquely placed to kill Meghanada. When Meghanada dies and Mandodari, his mother, is crying and they are cursing Ravana, and so many people are sad. Ravana is also sad looking at his son's death, but then he didn't want to show his weakness before his wives. So he tries to put up a brave face and starts instructing them that, look, it is the law of nature. Anybody who comes, he has to go. I mean, soul is eternal, body is temporary. It is born at a certain point of time. It will die at a certain point of time. So even though Ravana is giving this kind of knowledge and high spiritual concepts to console them, but he himself doesn't practice those things. He himself has no inclination to understand those things in its essence. So here the poet is saying, it's a very famous verse from Manas. Par upadesh kusal bahu tere, je acharahi te nar na ghane re. So there are tons of people in this world who are very clever, who are very smart, when the time comes to instruct others. But very few are there who practice those truths in their own lives. Now, this being the situation, Meghanada was also killed. Ravana's other sons are also killed. All the major warriors from his side are all killed. So Ravana alone now remains. There is still some army, his person, but no major warriors remaining now. So Ravana himself is remaining, and now there is no option for him but himself to go into the battlefield. So that's what was decided. He ordered whatever remaining army was there of demons. He ordered everybody. Everybody was excited also among the demons to go with Ravana, because Ravana was, after all, the most powerful among all the demons. And Ravana enters into the battlefield in a huge chariot. So he has a very special chariot, huge chariot, and along with all the remaining demon army, whatever warriors are there, they all are accompanying him. It looks a very splendid sight, very majestic sight. Ravana himself was a great warrior. So when Ravana is coming on the chariot, and on this side, Lord Rama, he is just barefoot. He doesn't have any chariot. Lord Rama's army doesn't have any chariots. Not even for Lord Rama himself. So Vibhishana, when he saw that, he felt a little bit disturbed, a little bit distressed in his heart that how will Lord Rama fight this fellow? I mean, Lord Rama doesn't even have anything, like he's just barefoot on the ground, and this fellow has this majestic chariot with all the weapons stored in it. So out of his tremendous love for Lord Rama, he felt concerned, and he bowed down to Lord Rama and put his doubt before Lord Rama. He says, you don't have the chariot, nor even do you have good shoes in your foot. There he was barefoot. How would you be able to win over this fellow? because he is not a ordinary fellow. So then Lord Rama describes that what kind of chariot he has, and that is called Dharmaratha, the chariot of virtues. So he describes that. It's an interesting description here. सुनहु सखा कह कृपा निधाना, जेहि जय होई सो स्यंदन आना, सौरज धीरज तेहि रथ चाका, सत्यशील दृढ़ ध्वजा पताका, बल विवेक दम पर हित घोरे, क्षमा कृपा समता रजु जोरे, ईस भजन सारथी सुजाना, विरति चर्म संतोष कृपाना, कवच अभेद विप्र गुरु पूजा, यही संविजय उपाय न दूजा, सखा धर्म में असरथ जाके, जीतन कहन कतहु रिपुता के. So he is saying that the chariot which you are talking about, I don't have, that is true. But the chariot which leads one to victory is a very different kind. The wheels of that chariot are the valor and fortitude. Those are the wheels of the chariot. While the banner and the flag are the truthfulness and the good conduct. Those are the banner and the pole. And the horses, what are the four horses? These are strength, discretion, self-control, and benevolence. These are its four horses. And the cords which pull the horses, the cords are forgiveness, compassion, and evenness of mind. The driver, the one who drives the charioteer, he is the love for God. And dispassion is the shield, and contentment is the sword. And he's saying a pure and steady mind is like a quiver, while quietude and the various forms of penance and observances are a sheaf of arrows. Homage to Brahmanas and one's own guru is the coat, the impenetrable coat. And he's saying that there is no other equipment for victory as efficacious as this, because one who owns such a chariot of dharma, he will have no enemy to conquer anywhere. So it's a wonderful way to describe a chariot. Lord Rama describes to Vibhishana. Vibhishana bows down to Lord Rama and says, I am so blessed that I got these wonderful teachings from you. So when Ravana, when he comes out, monkeys, when they heard that Ravana is coming, they all rush at him in great enthusiasm. The lot of monkeys is from the monkey army. And they had taken a lot of boulders, trees, and other such things in their hands, and they go and drop all of them at Ravana's body. So Ravana is not much affected. He was quite powerful, very strong. He wasn't much affected by all this kind of assault. But then he started hurting monkeys back, and they couldn't stand his assault. So monkeys started running away. And even when they were running away, he shot a lot of arrows on them. So a lot of them got killed. A lot of them started crying, "Oh Rama, oh Lakshmana, save us. Where are you? We cannot handle this demon." When Lakshmana heard that cry, and he saw that his army is getting helter-skelter, he became angry and bowing down to Lord Rama, he goes to Ravana to fight, and he says, "Let me see how much strength do you have." And slowly, Lakshmana starts cutting all the weapons which Ravana throws at him. When Ravana looks at it, and now he is getting hurt also by Lakshmana's arrows. He soon realizes that it's very difficult for him now to continue. So he takes a very special weapon given by Brahma, and he throws that weapon at Lakshmana. That was very special power, and it hit Lakshmana in the heart, and Lakshmana fell unconscious. When Hanumanji saw that Lakshmana is falling unconscious, he rushes to Ravana to confront him. Ravana hits Hanumanji with a fist. Hanumanji gets a little shock, but just he sits, like just goes down on one knee. That's that much impact he had. But when he gets up and he then hits Ravana with a fist, Ravana is like all rotating around, and finally he falls unconscious. After some time, when he wakes up, he starts praising the strength of Hanumanji. And Hanumanji is saying, "Fie on my strength that you are still living, even after I hit you once with the fist." And then when Ravana is in this state, Hanumanji again hits him and he falls unconscious. His charioteer, he takes Ravana back. Here, Hanumanji, he takes Lakshmana's body and goes to Lord Rama. So now you see, Lord Rama here, when he sees Lakshmana's body unconscious, he just touches him and says, "Oh my brother, you are not an ordinary person. You are the devourer of death. You can kill the death itself, and you are the protector of gods." The moment he said that, Lakshmana remembered his original form, and he gets up. And that weapon which hit Lakshmana, that became ineffective. So it was a similar situation which happened earlier with Lakshmana, where he falls unconscious by a special weapon from Meghanada. And that time it was a huge show of sorrow from Lord Rama. Hanumanji had to bring this physician from Lanka. He had to go to Himalaya, get that particular herb. It was a big thing. But this time the similar thing happened, and all Lord Rama had told to Lakshmana just to remind him his nature, and he got up. So it was just a play of Lord Rama at that time, that he wanted to show those human emotions. And also there is another story why Lakshmana had to suffer that way. The story is that it's again not in Manas, it's a side story. The story is that when Lord Rama and Lakshmana, they had gone to Shabri's place. Shabri, the devotee, the tribal devotee, old tribal lady, if you remember in one of the earlier classes I had told about her. Her guru had told that Lord will come and you don't have to do anything, and she just waits. She's just waiting every single day. She is waiting for Lord to come, and finally Lord arrives. So Shabri, out of her devotion, she wants to give the sweetest of the fruits to Lord Rama. So she tastes a little bit, and then whatever she finds sweet, she gives to Lord Rama. Lord Rama is extremely happy to have those fruits. But this is considered normally very defiling, that to God you are offering something which you have tasted. So Lakshmana did not like it. Somehow he had a little bit of a aversion to this kind of treatment by this tribal lady. So when Lord Rama is giving the fruit, or Shabri is giving the fruit to Lakshmana, he doesn't like to eat which somebody has already eaten. So what he does, he just throws in the bag when Shabri is not looking, instead of eating. Lord Rama notices that. He doesn't say anything. But it is said that those very same fruits, they had grown as this herb which revived Lakshmana. So because Lakshmana did not honor the love of a devotee at that time, he had to suffer this episode of being unconscious, as well as finally being treated by the same thing which he had rejected earlier. So in Ramayana, in the story of Lord Rama, there are many such side stories which make it very interesting. Like in different Ramayanas, different stories are there, but this was not in Manas. So after Lakshmana again goes, he is well again when Lord Rama told that you are the killer of death itself and savior of the gods. He again gets ready and starts fighting Ravana. Ravana finally gets unconscious and he is taken back to his city. He feels very ashamed, and he also wanted to perform a very special fire ceremony which will make him invincible. So he and then Vibhishana again, he finally finds out that Ravana is performing this fire ceremony. He tells Lord Rama that if it happens, he will not die. So even the gods, they prayed to Lord Rama that please don't play anymore with this fellow. He has given us enough troubles to us. And also think of Mother Sita. She is still very sad in the captive. She is still held captive. So Lord Rama heard these prayers of gods. He smiled within. On the surface, he ordered Angada, Hanuman, and some other people that go and destroy Ravana's fire ceremony. Let him not complete it. So they go to Ravana's place. That was not difficult. They could easily reach that place where Ravana is performing this fire ceremony. And they start biting, they start hitting Ravana's body, and Ravana pays no attention. He is still sitting like motionless. He doesn't pay any attention to these things. He wanted, because his whole mind was somehow to complete this fire ceremony. When monkeys saw that even after a lot of beating, this fellow is not stirring, he is still able to continue his fire ceremony. Then they captured some of his wives, including Mandodari, and they start troubling those ladies. And those ladies started crying that what kind of husband you are, that these monkeys are troubling us and you are not. You are still sitting with his eyes closed. So when Mandodari started taunting Ravana in this fashion, he could take no more. So he got up, he kicked monkeys. The monkeys immediately went and destroyed all the fire ceremony material and everything. Ravana, when he saw that, he realized that, okay, but he cannot perform fire ceremony, and that's what it is. So finally he comes out in the battlefield. And when he saw that he was alone, very few demons were remaining with him. And there were still so many monkey army. He wanted to use the magic powers. So he created a lot of magic powers. In one such magic power, the number of Ravanas, they multiplied. The monkeys, they are seeing Ravanas everywhere. And they got terrified because they thought even one was difficult to handle. Now there are so many. And they started running away here and there. When Lord Rama came to know of it, he smiled. He just took an arrow and finished all the magical display of multiple Ravanas. And finally, Ravana alone remained. And then Lord Rama told monkeys that you all have fought a lot for me. Now you all take some rest and just see the duel between me and Ravana. So Lord Rama goes alone. Ravana is there. When gods see Lord Rama barefoot, they send the chariot, Indra's chariot, along with the charioteer. So the chariot comes, Lord Rama climbs into that chariot. So now he has a chariot, Ravana also is on chariot. And they started the duel. So Ravana says, "Oh Rama, don't think that I am any ordinary person, the kind of persons you have killed so far. I am not like Khara, Dushana, Kumbhakarna or Meghanada. I am Ravana. The whole world is terrified just by hearing of my name. So today you will get a taste of my strength." And Lord Rama smiles and says, "Don't brag. Don't ruin your reputation by bragging. I'll tell you one maxim, one principle, that there are three types of people in this world. And he compares them with three types of trees. So those resembling the rose, the mango rose and the mango and the jackfruit tree. The rose, he says, only on one, only the flowers come, there is no fruit. On the second one, which is mango, both flowers and fruits come. On the jackfruit tree, only the fruit comes, there is no flower. So he says, similarly, there are three types of people. One who only talk, but no action. Second one, they talk and also do the action corresponding to their words. And third ones, they only do the actions without any talk. So Ravana said, "Okay, you don't teach me now, I'll show you my will." So he started throwing a lot of arrows, lot of weapons. And Lord Rama is cutting them all. He's making all of them useless. And here the poet Tulsidas ji, he's saying, Ravana's arrows, they are proving very futile. Just like a wicked person, he makes a lot of schemes, but they all go futile. So like that, Ravana's arrows are becoming futile. Then when Ravana, he could not make any of the arrows reach to Lord Rama, he hits the charioteer with 100 arrows. Charioteer falls down on the ground. Lord Rama picks him up, and now he becomes quite upset, quite angry. You can say he feigns the anger. He throws a lot of arrows to Ravana. He kills all the horses, breaks his chariot, breaks his bow, and then he takes the 30 other arrows. So Ravana is depicted as the one who is having 10 heads and 20 arms. There is a metaphorical meaning in this. There are actually multiple ways to look at the metaphor. 10 heads represent the 10 times desires and also confusion. So Ravana had intellect also. So Ravana had tremendous amount of intellect. But all he was using, all this intellect, was towards fulfilling his desires. So more one fulfills the desire, more confusion will be there in one's mind. Similarly, the 20 arms signify the strength. So Lord Rama took 30 arrows and he cut all 10 heads and 20 arms of Ravana. But a miracle happened immediately. The moment his heads and arms were cut, the new ones grew up immediately on their place. So Ravana had new heads and new arms. It happened because earlier he had worshipped Lord Shiva by cutting his heads. So as a boon, he got multiple times of that. So many times Lord Rama tries to cut his heads and arms, and they again and again becoming new and new. This created a lot of worry among the people that if this fellow is not getting killed, even after his heads are being cut, how will Lord Rama overpower him? How will he win over him? And Lord Rama is just playing. For him, it's all just play. But then other people are getting worried. So now when Ravana sees Vibhishana, he becomes extremely angry with Vibhishana. Because Vibhishana is the one who had so far given all the secrets of Lanka. And he threw a very special weapon with the intention to kill Vibhishana. That weapon, when they started to move towards Vibhishana, and Lord Rama is seeing that weapon is going towards Vibhishana, it will kill him. Because he had already given Vibhishana freedom from fear and also coronated him as the king of Lanka. Lord Rama decided that Vibhishana cannot be allowed to be hit with this particular weapon. So he came in between himself and took it on his own chest. That weapon was very powerful, and Lord Rama got unconscious for a little while. The poet is saying that that was just a play for the Lord, but it was a huge difficulty, distress for the gods and other people who were seeing it. When Vibhishana is seeing that Lord getting unconscious, he is getting tired because of his sake, he became extremely angry. And he took a mace in his hand and rushed towards Ravana. And he rushed towards Ravana and hit him with the mace. And Ravana falls unconscious by the power of that blow. When Lord Shiva is telling the story to Mother Parvati, he is saying, Uma Vibhishan Ravanahi Sanmukh Chitav ki Kao So Ababhirat Kal Jyon Shri Raghuvir Prabhav. So he's saying, O Parvati, Vibhishana, he was so timid, he had no strength compared to Ravana. When he was in Lanka, he could not even see Ravana in the eyes. He was so terrified of Ravana. And now look at the influence, look at the power of association with Lord Rama, that he is fighting with Ravana like a death. So Ravana and Vibhishana, they fought for some time, then Hanumanji came, Vibhishana then got some rest, and there was some fight between Hanumanji and Ravana. And then Lord Rama again, he became conscious again. He again started cutting Ravana's heads, throwing a lot of arrows, cutting Ravana's heads and arms. But they are again coming back up. So here Tulsidas ji, the poet, is saying a very good comparison. He is saying that actually in the air, there are a lot of heads are floating of Ravana, because all these, they have been cut by Lord Rama, and all the arms. So he's saying they are being multiplied, just like the sins which are committed in a holy place. So it is for us a teaching that whenever we are in a holy place, try to keep your mind as pure, and certainly your actions. It is said that a wrong action in a normal place doesn't have so bad fruits, but those bad fruits are multiplied when the same wrong action is performed in a holy place. And he is also giving another simile poet that the moment they are being cut, these heads and arms, they are increasing. Just like every time one makes a gain, his greed increases. So greed increases with every gain. It doesn't subside. So when after making all this effort, Lord Rama is not able to kill Ravana, he looks towards Vibhishana. So this is like, of course, all play of Lord Rama who wanted to give some glory to Vibhishana. Lord Shiva is saying that, O Parvati, even the death is killed if he so desires. So Lord is just playing the game here. So when Lord Rama looks towards Vibhishana, looks at him, Vibhishana comes towards Lord Rama, bows down to him and says, in his navel, there is a place which has the nectar. Because of that nectar, he is not going to die. So that's the reason why his heads and arms are becoming multiplied and he is not dying. So the moment Lord Rama heard that, he became happy, and this time he took 31 arrows in his hands. Not 30. 31 arrows in his hands. And out of the first one, it hit the navel. It drained out all the nectar from the navel of Ravana. And the remaining 30, they cut the heads and the arms. And after that, they grew no more. So Ravana is killed. When his head is cut from the body, there is a special light which comes out and merges into Lord Rama. So his soul merges into Lord Rama. Because essentially he was a devotee. He was a devotee of Lord himself. So Lord again took him back to his abode. When Mandodari, she hears the news that her husband, who had won over the whole world and other worlds, he is no more. She became very distressed. Comes where Ravana's body is lying. Ravana had other wives also. They also came. And they brought Mandodari because Mandodari was way too distressed to come of her own. And then Mandodari says, look, what has happened to you? The one before whom nobody could face you nobody could stand you face to face. Even gods were trembling of your might. You had won over all the kings. But just because finally you took the enmity with the Lord of the universe itself, then this was naturally the end which had to be. And there is a line here, Ajanmate paradroharat papau ghamay tav tanu ayam tumau diyo nij dham ram namami brahma niramayam ahanath raghunath sam krupa sindhu nahi an jogi vranda durlabh gati toidini bhagwan. So even though she is realizing that Lord Rama has killed Ravana, but she at the same time is aware of Lord Rama's divinity. So she is only finding the fault with Ravana because Ravana did not listen to her. Multiple times she tried to tell him that return Mother Sita to Rama, don't make a relationship of enmity with Lord Rama, but Ravana never listened. So she is saying that this body of yours, look at your life. the whole life you have taken delight in harming others. There is hardly any sin which you have not done with this body. Even so, despite all that, Lord Rama has given you his own abode. Who could be as gracious, as kind as Lord Rama, that he gave you the state which is found with difficulty by the yogis? So when Ravana fell down, he was dead, the war came to an end. Lord Rama called Vibhishana and says that now I want to coronate you because that was my promise. So now it is going to find its fulfillment. So first he said that take care of your brother Ravana, because Ravana was a king. So make sure that his last rites are performed as befitting a king. And then he says, I cannot come into the city because I am bound by the promise to my father that for 14 years I will not step into a city. But all these monkeys and Lakshmana will coronate you on my behalf. So all these important monkey warriors along with Lakshmana, they go and coronate Vibhishana. So now Vibhishana is officially the king of Lanka. Then Lord Rama calls Vibhishana and says, so first he tells Hanuman that Hanuman, you go and find out the condition of Sita. How is she doing? So Lord Hanumanji goes there, and this time all the demons and demonists who are guarding Mother Sita, now they are actually terrified because Vibhishana has become the king and they could be punished. So now they are serving Mother Sita and they are very respectful towards Hanumanji. So they took Hanumanji to Mother Sita. Hanumanji bows down to Mother Sita, and Mother Sita immediately recognizes that he is the same person who had come earlier with a message. So she asks, how are my lord? How is my lord? How is Lakshmana? And Hanumanji bows down to her and says, they both are doing fine. Lord Rama has killed Ravana. The war has come to an end. He wants to ask. So then Mother Sita says, you have given me such a good news that I do not know how can I ever pay anything in return of that. There is nothing which I can do. All she just gave her blessings that may all the good qualities find their abode in you. May Lord Rama remain always gracious towards you. And Hanumanji was very happy hearing that. And then Mother Sita asks that, how can I see my Lord? And Hanumanji says, okay, I'll take your message back to Lord Rama. And Lord Rama, when he heard that Sita is anxious to meet him, then he tells Vibhishana, now Vibhishana is the king of Lanka, so Lord Rama follows the protocol. He tells Vibhishana that take Angad and Hanumanji and bring Mother Sita here. Bring Sita here. So Vibhishana, of course, follows the command. He goes there. Mother Sita had not taken any bath, or she didn't have the ornaments. She was living a very life of very, very austere life when she was in captivity. So Vibhishana decides that she should go befitting the wife of a king, as Lord Rama is. So she orders some demonesses that make sure that Sita is decorated and she is well treated. So Sita was given a shower and decorated and a lot of ornaments. And then in a palanquin, she starts going towards Lord Rama. As she is coming towards Lord Rama, there are a lot of monkeys who are standing there. They are coming to wanted to take a look at Mother Sita. They are curious. And guards which are walking along with the palanquin, they do not allow the monkeys to come there nearby. So monkeys felt a little sad when Lord Rama saw that. He says, let Sita come on foot. She doesn't have to come in palanquin. All these monkeys are like her children. They will look at her as mother. So Mother Sita follows the advice. She starts walking on foot. And then when she reaches Lord Rama, because if you remember earlier in the story, when before Sita was abducted, Lord Rama had told Sita that I want to have some play here. You have to be abducted. So you go to the fire, you stay in the fire and produce a copy of yours, a shadow copy of yours. And that's what happened. Nobody else knew this secret, only Lord Rama and Mother Sita. So now he wanted to get the original Sita back. So on the surface, he used some strong words to Sita. He says, you have lived in the abode of Ravana for 1 year. I cannot be assured of your purity. So I'm not able to accept you as it is. I came here, I rescued you, but now you are free to go wherever you want to. Or there was a tradition in those times. I do not know how the tradition arose, but the tradition was that there was Agni Pariksha, the test of fire, that somebody has to touch the fire. If a woman touches the fire and fire doesn't burn her, then she is pure. In today's world, it may seem like very strange, but that's the story says at the time. So Sita agreed to give this test of fire to prove her purity. And all the monkeys, and they were quite distressed at this turn of events. But Lord Rama and Mother Sita, they had, of course, known that the reason is completely different. So Sita enters into the fire saying that if in the thought, word or deed, never ever that any other man except Lord Rama has come to me, then may this fire become cool to me. So Shadow Sita now entered into the fire and the original Sita came back. Fire God came himself and says, I vouchsafe that Sita is ever pure. So then everybody was very happy. Lord Rama was very happy. They accepted, and now we'll see the remaining part of it. The Lanka Kand is coming to an end almost. There is a little bit of the praise and other things. Then Uttarakanda from the next class will start. And in Uttarakanda, it's a beautiful story, summarization. It's the last chapter. And it has a lot of spiritual teachings. So we are finished with 26 classes. There are 6 more. We planned for 32. 32nd, the last class is the summary class. So we will cover the Uttarakanda. It has nice story, a summary of whole Ramayana, as well as lot of spiritual teachings. So the remaining Lanka Kanda will finish in a short while, maybe 10-15 minutes, and then we start Uttarakanda in the next class. So any questions or comments, please feel free to write. So we'll close the class with the prayers. So there is a question here. Did the demons become good with their new king? Yes, demons became, because king now will create the rules and the discipline. Ravana himself had created his army for bad. So army normally, if you look at any state, the army itself is not good or bad. It is to what purpose they are employed to. So they follow the commands of the leaders, and in this case, Vibhishana, of course, gave the command for them to behave properly. There is also a saying that demons, because they are born in a particular body, their natural tendency is towards not doing good, but still it can be changed to a certain extent. Vibhishana himself was extremely good person, of course. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayah, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kasyid dukkha bhag bhavet. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you all.